Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. Welcome to this second workshop of this series of workshops on technological skills for educators, not only to be able to teach those skills, but also that the educators should have. And today we have a very special guest that is going to take us on a journey, not specifically to what we would define a hard tech skill, but definitely a skill that is involved in the most important technological skills in the last years. Hello, Alejandro. How are you today?
I'm fine. I'm pretty happy to be here, my friend. As always, with our community of teachers there in several countries in Africa, in Philippines, in US. We are so happy to reconnect, to share ideas, projects, and this amazing guest too. You remember last time we talked with Lars Villavec from Copenhagen. He shared with us his research about 60 skills, human skills for technological era. So our idea is to dig deeper in some of them, mostly in intercultural skills, because for sure, here and there in several other countries, we have this new question. Okay, we are a globalized world at this moment. We are with the technology, we are super connected. So, what are the gaps? What are the problems, the issues, the opportunities, even to interact in this globalized world?
Yes, definitely. And it's very interesting because we could say it's a pretty young field. We have some authors that have already been writing about interculturality and have been connecting it first to probably anthropology, social anthropology, the concept of culture. What is culture? That's a big, big question. But definitely the connection between those cultures that happens not only physically but now virtually on the internet, and that is definitely something that we need to talk about, something that we need to recognize. Nowadays, we are actually talking about the intercultural abilities. So I am more intercultural, or I have more intercultural knowledge than other people, in how that can serve me. And we find that some authors are actually pretty much like I don't know, jumping to the future and saying this should be part of every single major and every single university study in the world.
Totally, totally. This is really important in terms of our labor market is not just local. No, in terms of um, our, for example, here in Medellin, Colombia, we are already super connected. But 30 years ago, we were just the second largest city in Colombia. So we didn't have a lot of connections with other cities. Now we are super connected. We are one of the most recognized cities in Latin America because technology and innovation. So the things are changing a lot, really fast. And the way we understand and the way we train ourselves and help others to train themselves with this kind of skills will help them a lot in terms of to be more to add value to the labor market, to find a real good jobs in the time, but mostly to pursue their dreams in terms of open their knowledge, create I don't know, global networking, have new friends, understand in different way our world, and for sure to become a global citizen, because I think that will be part of our job in education in the next years.
And I can wait to be talking about these questions, global citizenship, and many other new concepts that actually they come and go. It's something that is happening, and it's something that is natural to all young fields. But I think our special guest today is going to be able to tell us a little bit more about why this happened and how we can take advantage this, how we can leverage this knowledge for our own good. So learning about our culture, recognizing our cultural traits, being able to talk about our culture, but also recognizing that there are many other cultures, and most importantly, that altogether those cultures have many things in common, elements that we share and that we can use in order to create that global community that you were talking about. And that definitely, Mr. Drew, oops, Mr. Drew's going to be talking about in a moment. Before we get to the special guest, I also want to let you know that today we will letting you know about our TOMi Awards.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a very special announcement today, and it's how is it going? What is the top 5 lessons at the ranking at the moment in the TOMi Awards? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh my God. We are so happy to see two of our teachers from Ghana and one from Zambia in the top 5 of teachers. You remember, TOMi Award is a prize that we designed to celebrate your work, the way that you use our platform, TOMiDigital.com, but mostly the content and the way that you share with us, with global community of teachers, part of your culture. So we are so happy to see you there in the
The top 5.
the top 5 of this list, and we are waiting to find the top 3. The idea is to have we will have a short close in April 11, and in April 18 we will give the names of the top 3 teachers from different countries who will win the 3 prizes. And the first the first prize, remember, is to come to Medellin, Colombia, for our event, the launching event of the TOMi 8 with a TOMi 8 device. So yeah, we are so happy. This community is so engaged, so connected. But remember, this is a competition. So please continue presenting, publishing, creating more content, sharing with other teachers in terms to have more impact and share more about your culture with others.
And by the way, now that we're talking about the community, let me say hello and welcome to the people that are already here with us. So please write on the comments your name and where you are at the moment. Okay, I can see there are people here from Senegal. Abib Diouf, welcome. Also, Lizzie Lungu. We have a big community in Ghana. That's pretty much like the country that has received us, that has welcomed us in the best manner. And we have right now over 2,000 teachers in our community in Ghana that are already creating lessons with our platforms.
2,000. Wow.
Yes.
It's a big number.
Yeah, the second country that we have more people in the community from is Kenya. Yeah, on the other side of Africa, the African continent, this beautiful continent that has shown us that has a lot of teachers that are committed to education, that are committed to learning more about how to bring innovation into the classroom.
Totally.
And that is definitely something that we love to do, and that's why we are here. That's pretty much our main goal over here. So if there are people from Senegal, if there are people from Kenya, from Zambia, please let us know that you're here. We would love to learn more about you. Please make sure that you interact with us. We want to hear you. We want to read you. We want to know what you think about the different topics. And also, don't be shy. Share with us anything that you're thinking about interculturality right now, but also other topics that you would like us to cover. We're going to make sure that we are bringing knowledgeable people to talk about these topics.
So remember, last workshop we had a huge community from Zambia. I remember interacting with us. So those teachers are really amazing. Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, Zambia. My God.
I have some people saying hello here. So hello, Lizzie. Welcome. Hello, Abib. Sintiche is probably one of those very loyal teachers that are always here, and it is very committed to her learning and her participation with us. So thank you for that, Sintiche. We appreciate that very much. Hello, Forsen. Forsen was here for the last workshop as well, and it's definitely good that we can put faces to the names. So remember that you can also get a certificate for your participation here, issued by TOMi Digital. And definitely it's proof that you are one of those committed teachers. Peter Chatama, hello. Please let us know where you're writing from, because we definitely want to know where we are impacting the best, the most, I mean. And I think it's time to introduce our guest, our special guest, Drew. So here he is. Welcome, Drew.
Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Really honored to be here.
Thank you very much for having me. Oh, man, my friend. Great to see you. Great to connect with you again. We have been working, I don't know, the last
couple of years, yeah.
Couple of years, yeah. In my former job, I was a director of a school, a private school here in Medellin. And with Drew, we designed this challenge from Medellin. The name of the project was Medellin Challenge. And he and his team was involved in the implementation of the project. It was real simple, but impactful because we select some challenges, real challenges here in the city, Medellin city, and we send those challenges to several countries, several schools around the world, and the Purdue Polytechnic High School in Indianapolis was one of the schools that were connected and implementing, with 3 of those students here in Medellin and 1 teacher. I remember you and I walking in the metro and walking around the city and talking about this connection. There's a global connection of schools. You remember that?
Absolutely, and I'm so glad that we are continuing to remain connected. Last year we sent 3 students. This year we'll be sending 6 students and 2 teachers to the Medellin Challenge. As soon as it crossed our desk, this was one of these things that we knew we had to participate in. And I just really lucked out being the person who got to go in advance and spend a couple days with you all and the team there. So much fun. So
great. Drew, usually what we do here, something that we are used to doing now, is that we like to put first, before we're talking about your work, we'd like to know about yourself as a person, as a human being. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are, where you're from, just interesting things. I think the interesting facts are one of the big elements of education in any topic. So let us know your interesting facts.
Totally agree. So I'm calling you here from Indianapolis, Indiana, where we are getting a major storm. You might see the lightning in the background behind me. And here at Purdue Polytechnic High School, Inglewood, which is a school of 560 students, grades 9 through 12, which is ages 14 through 18. And I've been in education my entire career. So I grew up in New Mexico, went to college in Washington State, studied chemistry there, and then decided to transition to teaching. And I'll share a little bit about all the cool schools that I've worked at in my presentation. I have 2 children, ages 5 and 2, and yeah, really, really glad to be here.
Okay, that sounds great. Drew is here because he's part of the community of scholars and also teachers. He is in the field. He's actually working with teachers his whole time, and he's here because it's a major issue that we are able to connect as teachers around the world in the ways that we are teaching at the moment, with the topics, the fields that we are teaching, and also how we are, let me say, understanding the process of education nowadays. So he's not here only to talk about interculturality, which is actually the main reason, but it's also going to be able to share with us how he understands education. So that's leads me to my next question is, what are your thoughts in general about education nowadays? Like, what would be like the key elements in education nowadays?
Well, I appreciate you mentioning that teacher collaboration. That's a huge component of our model here at our school. We believe that great ideas come from serendipitous interactions. So teacher bumps into another teacher in the hallway and magic happens with an upcoming unit or lesson or project. And so the idea of scaling that now to international collaboration and getting to talk with educators from around the world is incredible, because at its core, I believe that really all children are children, and that educational strategies that we use here in Indianapolis apply to students there in Medellin, apply to students in Ghana, Senegal, etc.
Good, you're great. Yeah, we have seen that the community of teachers in Africa has shown us that they are also very updated in terms of what's the best way to approach education and learning and teaching at the moment. In the past, let me just I don't know, like brag a little bit about what we have been doing with this community. In the past, we had another series of workshops that was focused on active learning and also understanding how to teach for active learning and active teaching, the new roles of teachers and students. And it was great to hear from these teachers, their experiences, because we have teachers from cities in Africa, but we also have teachers from rural areas in Africa with major difficulties in terms of connection, in terms of infrastructure, and many other issues. So that I know that may not be your reality, but I want to ask you about that. What do you think are the most the reasons that are creating the gap in education around the world at the moment?
Yeah, interesting. Education is interesting because as of 2020, 90% of the global population has some exposure to school, and so everyone brings that experience that they've had at school to the way that they advocate for their children, the way that they vote, the way that they think about what's happening in the school or down the street from their house, and so that can be really helpful because people know what worked for them as a student. But a lot of times, educational experience comes with a lot of baggage, a lot of trauma. And so we've learned a lot over the years about how students learn. And, the traditional classroom of teachers standing at the front, talking, does not always mean that students are learning.
That's true. Yeah.
That's true. Oh, I want to highlight something about the PPHS. PPHS, the acronym of Purdue Polytechnic High School, um, because I want to give a bit more of a context through. Sorry, I will, because this PPHS model was established in 2017. So you're growing and you have a big challenge in terms of increase the number of students from high school to college there in Purdue University. That's why, if I understand well, the Purdue University is connected with you with the high school, because that pipeline is so narrowed, it's so close to many students there in Indiana. Purdue University is a public university there in the state in Indiana, and it's a big challenge to have more and more students from Indiana to the Purdue University. So, if I understood well, your high school PPHS is one of the main elements, steps, or clues to increase that pipeline from high school to college. Is that right?
Absolutely. It's unprecedented nationwide, a large public land grant institution establishing a network of schools to support students in being able to access higher education. And we're so grateful for the partnership with Purdue and the pipeline that they offer. So our students leave Purdue Polytechnic High School, and if they matriculate at Purdue, have wraparound support to ensure that then they're matriculating into high quality careers based on what they would like to do.
Wow, it's incredible. I know for a good fact that you give tuition free for the students, and also you connect the students and the project from the students with industry. What is the connection the school with the industry? Can you tell you about this?
Yeah, absolutely. A big part of our model is industry excursions. So 4 times a year, we send a survey to students asking what they see themselves doing after they graduate high school. For many, that's go to Purdue, but for others, it's go to a different university or straight into the workforce. And so then we connect with industries around the area, sometimes even out of state, and work to expose students to those industries so that they can see themselves in those roles if they would like, or realize, hey, maybe this is not for me and should continue keeping my options open. I think that's one of the most powerful components of our model because it gets students out into the community, out into the workforce with job shadowing, where they'll shadow for a day, or internships where they might get paid and course credit while they're a high school student. The hypothesis there is that the more exposure students have early on to these real world jobs and careers, the better equipped they'll be when it comes time to either graduate college or head straight into the workforce.
Wow. And also I know that you give them a dual credit or like a dual certification or technical certification too. That's right.
Absolutely. Yep. That's a big component of curriculum here in the United States is that as students get to the 11th and 12th grade year, that's when they're 16 to 18, many schools in the area will partner with universities to offer college classes while students are on campus at their high school. So it looks a couple of ways. Sometimes it will be a teacher here at our high school who is trained to offer the college class. Sometimes it will be logging into an online class and taking the class with the professor there, or other times it will be actually getting to go to the campus. We're very fortunate to have a university just 15 minutes down the street, and students will have part of their day protected so that they can go to the campus and actually take a couple of classes.
Drew, let me ask you a question. Institutionally, how intercultural are you? We just learned before that you had a project here in Latin America, in Medellin. What about other continents, other countries in Africa, Asia?
Yeah, one of our graduate aims is empathetic global citizen. And so far, the only international trip that has resulted, we're still a new school, and this is constantly on our minds. How do we get students out into other countries, continents of the world? So far, Medellin has been the only international site that our students have visited as part of a trip, but we are actively working to partner with other entities to do exchanges or share ideas, or maybe even have students go and visit. What was so great about the Medellin Challenge is that the framework we use here, the design process, that's what the Medellin Challenge was all about. And so it was so obvious for us to be part of that challenge because it's what students are learning every day here on campus.
All right. Let me start by encouraging our audience to participate. I just before I'm going to ask you this question later on, but I want to ask the people here first. In a few words, what do you understand by culture? All right, what is culture for you? That's the first thing. I just want to throw that question out and see what people have to say about that, because I think that's one of the main concepts that we need to cover in order to understand a little bit better what interculturality is. So what is culture for you? What represents culture in as a not only as a person, but also as a community, as a region, as a geographical area?
Actually, as a mindset, as a tool set, even because culture is also, in my opinion, in my approach, is also several tools you have as an individual to face a lot of situations in your context. It's also a knowledge. It's also a lot of things. So great, that question. I don't know if we could give to Drew the time to present, because I know he's waiting to share with us a lot of ideas or any information too.
Yeah, I just want to start with that question. I mean, I think this is going to be a good starting point. So as the audience is thinking, I just wanted to write on the comment section. What do you understand by culture? Don't give us a definition. Just want to have some specific words. For me, culture is entertainment, of course. I mean, dancing and music, folklore representations, but also, as you say, is a mindset. Is a way to is how we understand the world and how to live in the word. So it's many different things. So for many people, it's just a very complex concept to define. But I would like to ask you, Drew, how would you define the concept of culture?
Yeah, I'm so glad you're asking that, and definitely would encourage the audience to put their answers in the chat, because I'll be referencing that. For me, culture is the set of values, ideas, philosophies, like you all said, mindset, that people use to approach a given situation. And so a crucial part of education involves establishing, growing, developing culture among students, among staff, among a school. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So I think it's time. We give some. We want to leave the audience with Drew for a moment. We're going to disappear from the screen for a while, just to give the opportunity for Drew to expand on his ideas about interculturality. Sorry. Before we get to that, Peter Chatama is saying culture is the way of life. Especially the general customs and beliefs of a particular group. All right, beliefs. We didn't mention the beliefs, and it's definitely a very important part of it. All right, and we're not specifically talking about religions. Yeah. We're talking about beliefs, what people believe in. All right, thank you, Peter, for your word, and we again encourage all of you to share your thoughts on that. If you have any questions, even if you are watching this video not live on a different moment, please go ahead and write the questions. We're going to try to continue answering or giving our opinions on your questions even after this session has finished. So for the moment, Drew, the audience is yours. Please tell us a little bit more about interculturality.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having me. Good afternoon, good evening, I guess, if you're in Zambia. And thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Drew Goodin. I am the lead coach, which is how we refer to teachers here at Purdue Polytechnic High School. And I'll be presenting on 3 lessons from my 15 years in education. But what's interesting, as I was sharing earlier, people bring a lot of education experience, even if they've just been a student. And that's definitely true for me. So another way to think of this would be 3 years from my 37 years in education, from the time I was in kindergarten all the way to now working as a teacher. And I'll share, I've been at 3 schools, so I'll share a lesson from each of those schools. And this is a picture of me in 8th grade. The way I approach education is very much a product of the way I was taught. I was so grateful to have many amazing teachers throughout my K through 12 and college experience. One of those teachers, Ms. Daffron and Mr. Carpenter, introduced us to an essay contest about how to change the world in the year 2000. And a team of 3 others and myself wrote an essay about plane black boxes, the devices, flight recorders that are in the planes, and how to make them easier to find. And we won. We were one of the winners of the essay contest, and I got to be interviewed on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. as an 8th grader. And I take that experience as well as experiences in marching band, experiences in robotics, and that's definitely helped crafted how I approach education. Active learning approach. So let's try this. This is how I start the first day of class when I'm teaching chemistry. And feel free to either just visualize this or draw if you have a piece of scratch paper, or maybe you can pull up a note on your phone and just do a quick little sketch, but commit to this. Commit to your answer here. Draw a picture of a scientist at work and then come up with a name for the scientist. You're not being graded on art. So just do a quick sketch. Let's take, 15, 20 seconds. Just sketch together a scientist who is working. And then if you could write the name of the scientist. And actually, if you want to type the name of your scientist in the comments here, I've got those up on my screen. I can read what you're saying. So about 15 seconds now to do that. Well, my first teaching job was at Soldan International Studies High School in St. Louis, Missouri, where I taught high school chemistry. And I would start class with this question. And these are some of the Oppenheimer, love it. Oppenheimer's coming in on the chat. And these were some of the pictures that students would draw. So Soldan, ages 16 through 21, that's a picture of the beautiful building, beautiful historic building that we were in. And these were the pictures. So definitely an affinity for like boom, spark, smoke. You can see a lot of glassware there, but also take a look at the hair. Definitely some spiky or frizzy hair there. Other examples there of just kind of nerdy looking, lots of, smoke and glassware and crazy hair. This student even wrote their name of the scientist to be Dr. Crazy Hair. And this is very concerning because none of these sketches or the way students are perceiving science is not people that look like them. Science to them is some other thing that nerdy white dudes with glass and explosives do, not them. And so what I'd like to propose to you is that children are learning all of the time, and that when children are told about science, with a teacher at the front of the room telling all the historical scientists, oftentimes they learn that they are not, cannot, and do not want to be scientists. But when children do science, they learn that they are and always have been scientists. And so that's the way I started my first day of class teaching chemistry. And day 2, students would walk in and boom, there's a crime scene in the back of the classroom with you can see the dirt on the ground. They would later go on to do pH testing. There's some glass on the ground. They would do density analysis of that. And they would make observations and form inferences just like scientists on the second day of class. I further wanted to affirm to them that they don't need a teacher to be a scientist. And so on the third day of class, I had a substitute, Mr. Charlemagne here. This is actually just me with a beard and a wig. My favorite part was one day, it was the third day of class, and the principal saw me standing out in my hallway with this costume and thought to himself, oh man, that sub is gonna have a lot of problems. He did not recognize me. But I would go in and be the classic substitute teacher who would just, have kids do their own thing, but they were expected to engage in science and make observations, do inferences, form hypotheses, to then, once I removed the beard and wig, understand that they don't actually need an adult to tell them this. They can do this, and they've been doing this all along. And so that's what we did. Here's one of the first weeks where students are doing a safety lab to see the impacts of acid on, for example, egg yolks, and learning that, well, scientists, if we're going to learn, we collaborate and we discover. So these students are working, they've got syringes in their hand with a little marshmallow, and they're observing what's happening to the marshmallow as the pressure in the syringe changes, which, by the way, we didn't use the word pressure yet. They were just exploring, discovering, modeling. You can see on their whiteboard that they've got some blank squares. That's where they're going to be drawing particle diagrams. And actually, I've been thinking about, if I had TOMi back then, I would have loved to use it to help nurture naive conceptions, because students come to science with a lot of ideas with the way things work. And it's essential as a science educator to be able to hear those things that students are believing and thinking and nurture them to what the reality is. And so I played around with TOMi a little bit, and this was one of the questions I would ask my students. Ernesto is, and let's try this one in the chat too. So commit to an answer and just type A, B, or C in the chat. So the question is, Ernesto is heating water on a stove. He records the temperature a minute after the liquid starts to boil. After 20 minutes of boiling, he records the temperature again. when Ernesto compares the first temperature with the second, what do you think he will find? The culture of the science classroom was such that committing to a wrong answer here is absolutely okay, because we haven't learned this yet. This would be the first question of the unit or the day, and then students would take this question, commit to an answer, argue, debate, discuss, draw on whiteboards, gather together, and then go actually experiment. I see answer coming in, answer C, and that's what it's all about, is getting students to commit to an answer. So I wish I would have had TOMi back then, because it'd be a great way to analyze what students are selecting, and then therefore how I can craft the lesson to navigate them to the process or experience to help them truly understand. And this is a great example of a whiteboard. Scientists communicate. So teams would work around square whiteboards. They would experience something. They would be exposed to a discrepant event, and then they would have to communicate out their interpretation of that, their analysis of that to the rest of the class as a scientific community. And then we have fun. So what's happening here is that we were determining the density of a student as part of our density unit. And we were comparing density of two different students. And so to do that, we need to find the volume of a student, how much space students takes up. And so here's a student stepping into a big trash can of water. The water will overflow, and then it's go time, and everyone sitting around there uses syringes, buckets, etc., to measure how much water was displaced after that student puts his head underwater. So we have a lot of fun. Finally, the last couple of years of this role that I had as chemistry teacher, thanks to folks at SciJourner, I implemented a curriculum where students then write about science for a teen audience. And so this is a student, just one example of an article that was published back in 2012, who wrote about how she had scoliosis. And she interviewed experts, a doctor, an anatomy person, and included quotations from those experts in her article. And if you can see there, this has 3,800 views. So what a cool impact as an 11th grader to be able to write something that 3,000 people are viewing. And that concept is really what carried me to my next role at Grand Center Arts Academy, which was, if you're in the US, a grades 6 through 12, that's around ages 11 through 18 in St. Louis, Missouri, which is about 4 hours west of Indianapolis, where I am now. And that was actually my classroom right there on the second floor. That was our makerspace. I'm going to show a quick video just of what the makerspace looked and felt like. So this is the briefing room where we would work on brainstorming, coming up with challenges, and then we would also do our pitches. So students would come up with ideas and then pitch them in that room. And then the prototyping lab was here in this space. And this footage is from a demo day where students are presenting their final project. But you can see open table, lots of cool stuff, and students discussing building. The student made a homework alarm app and is presenting it to folks who are visiting our demo day. Back to that authenticity of learning experience. Lesson 2, over my past 15 years, 37 years, is that if you have student choice, meaning students have autonomy in what or how they're approaching a particular project, plus an authentic audience, meaning that this is a product of learning that is going to someone beyond the teacher. This is not just an essay that's going to be turned in for a grade. This is something that I'm going to publish on a news website and get 3,000 views, or show to visitors who are coming to my classroom. Then that is a great equation for deep learning. The deepest kind of learning comes when you have student choice and an authentic audience. And to frame that, we use the design thinking process, which I shared a little bit about earlier. The Medellin Challenge did this so well. But we needed a framework that would encourage students in their process of developing authentic products for authentic audiences. And I'll share just an example of how the design process looked in class. So here's the empathize phase. One of our projects, we were a new school, and so one of our projects was to redesign the hall pass system. For those in the US, you probably know what that means. Others, this is a system for when students are leaving a class, how to know where they're going or that they have permission to be in the hall. And so my students are here on the left side, and they're interviewing our school counselor about how she approaches hallway interactions and what she'd like to see in a hall pass. So yes, this has an authentic audience because soon all 750 students at this school will be using the hall pass that our middle school students made here, but also they're learning skills that will take them to careers where they're designing and identifying problems. And so regardless of what a student ends up doing, at some point in their job, they're going to need to identify and solve a problem, whether they're a teacher, a pharmacist, a doctor, a lawyer. And so equipping students with the design thinking process allowed them, and having lots of practice around this same process over and over and over, allowed them to make real stuff, but then also practice solving human-centered problems. So that's the empathize phase. Here's an example of the define phase. The define phase is where you come up with a specific actionable problem. And these two students, that's our vice principal and one of our counselors sitting there at the table, they took on the challenge of making the cafeteria a more clean and appealing environment. So they interviewed a bunch of students, they interviewed a bunch of staff, and came to this problem of how might we make the cafeteria a more clean and appealing environment? And this is a snapshot from then their pitch, where they came up with ideas for how to improve that. And our school administrators are sitting right there to implement their ideas. So there's the student choice because they chose what problem, and the authentic audience because they're not just turning this into me for a grade, this is actually being implemented. Brainstorming. So we did a lot of brainstorming in the makerspace, a lot of post-it notes, a lot of ideas. Anything goes in that early phase of brainstorming. So here's a student who has put up all of those post-it notes and is now in the process of converging upon a few ideas that she actually wants to work on. So I don't know, maybe 20 something ideas up there, and she's looking and seeing, I think I want to work on this for my makerspace experience today. And lots of prototyping. So here's a student prototyping with a device called a Makey Makey. There's a component of skill building in the makerspace. So this student wanted to make something, but didn't know how to use the tool to make that idea. And so is using this time in the makerspace to learn about the Makey Makey and how it can interact with the computer. Oh, and actually, if you peek behind her, that green thing is one of our 8th graders worked with a college student to design a drone, 3D print and design a drone. So I hope I'm capturing lots of different things happening there, all centered around the design process, but definitely student-centered with an authentic audience and student choice. And finally, testing. We try to expose students to authentic audiences as much as possible. There's a student on the left who is presenting the skee ball game that he made that's electronic. So it's that cardboard thing, but if you roll the ball, it automatically keeps score. And then there's a student presenting his game there on the laptop that he made. Couple of success stories. So this was a student who had an idea that, hey, there's lots of schools that don't have makerspaces. So what if we made a makerspace kit that was contained in a box and could be shared with schools so that they have the makerspace experience, but without having the actual space. And that idea went viral, and she's standing there in the middle. Along the side are leaders from Monsanto who flew in from around the world. This was their global leadership conference, and they dedicated a couple of hours of their time to construct these boxes. And she, a 7th grader, is leading them. This is the power of authentic audience and student choice. She completely came up with the idea and is now leading executives at one of a very powerful company to make her idea a reality. Here's a team of students that won honorable mention in a global invention challenge. And so the news came and interviewed him about his question. I think in this picture, he was in 6th grade. And just, the idea of being on the news for an idea you had because an authentic audience. And 2 more stories I'll share. This was an 8th grader, and she wanted to make an automatic garden that is controlled by an Arduino, which is basically a small, simple computer. And so it's there to her left. But I think what's more interesting is that as an 8th grader, she decided to write this up, and it was published in Make magazine. So you can see the author there. It's not me. It's not a journalist. It's her. And she published that. And then she went on to take the skills that she had grown with circuitry to design costumes for our dance class for their performance. And so you can see they're wearing the LED headbands and wristbands, and she designed all of those. And here was being interviewed by the news about that experience, and then decided to write that up as well. So now, not even in high school, having 2 published works available for the world to see the cool stuff that she's doing. Here's a high schooler who had an idea, signed up for a escalator pitch competition. This is such a creative idea. You've heard of elevator pitches, where you ride in an elevator and have a few moments to share your idea to someone who might be able to fund it. Well, at the Edward Jones Dome in St. Louis, there's a series of escalators. And so they had an escalator pitch competition where you had 60 seconds to go up the escalator with a potential funder and pitch his idea. He did well at that. So then he was invited to a top 10 event that was in the outfield of a baseball field. And then he got to the qualification round of presenting his app idea on Shark Tank, which is a TV show very popular here, where people will present their ideas to a panel of people to fund them. Student choice plus authentic audience equals deep learning. There's a secondary learning here, which is if you trust children, they will learn and do amazing things. And this role was very different from my chemistry teacher role. It was much more open. We used that design thinking framework to rein it in a little bit, give them a guide of a way to approach solving problems. And wow, kids ran with it. So now here I am at Purdue Polytechnic High School in Indianapolis, ages 14 through 18. We're a 9th through 12th grade school. And then on the first floor and basement below us is a 6th through 8th grade school. And here I serve as lead coach. So these are 26 of the staff members that I coach. I have 26 coaches here. And all their mouths are open because this is a screenshot of the happy birthday video that we send to every student on their birthday. So they're singing happy birthday here. And they're incredible. In the same way that students will take an idea and run with it, our teaching staff here is so creative, willing to fail, and continually does amazing things. And so we definitely believe this here, that student choice plus an authentic audience for their work leads to deep learning. What's different here is that we're taking that and aligning it to graduate aims. And that's leading to transformational learning. So at the Makerspace, we are an isolated bat cave, a lot of innovation happening in that space, but not spanning school-wide. Here, it's almost like the entire school is a makerspace. And we work on these 6 graduate aims. I'll show you just a little snapshot of what this looks like at our current school. And here is an example of our student day. So school starts at 8:45. This is a screenshot from a student's schedule on Monday. The student starts in sustainable agriculture and urban farming class, where she's working on getting some hydroponic gardens up and running. We talked about dual credit a little earlier. The student continues her day by having a dual credit class where she's logging in online and will graduate. She's an 11th grader, so she will graduate our school with college credits that she's earned as an 11th grader. She continues to a cooking class. And then my favorite part here, she's on the mock trial team and scheduled this own event for herself and the team to get together to practice. So a lot of autonomy and agency here in the way this student is designing their day. So the lesson that I've learned here, I've been here since 2017, is that transformational learning can be intentionally designed. Just like deep learning with the student choice and authentic audience, we can now take that deep learning and have it fundamentally change the arc of a student's life. And in those experiences, the teacher is not at the front of the classroom talking slides like I'm doing right now. The teacher is on the side as a coach. That's why all of us here are referred to as coaches. We are guides on the side supporting those learning experiences, not the sole purveyors of content. Think of a basketball team, right? The coach never goes out there and either plays during the game or is standing at a PowerPoint presentation the entire time. The coach is pulling aside one student at a time, or small groups, or coaching the entire team. And by the way, this is a picture from our boys team at the sectionals, and Coach Story, amazing coach. When I am thinking about coaching in classes and academics, I will often think of our sports coaches and ask myself, how would they approach this student situation? How can I make sure to be a guide versus being someone who tells a student something? And so now each of our graduate aims. Last weekend, our students participated in Youth and Government, where they served as mock legislators. So this is a picture not from my school, but from the Indiana State House, which is just down the street. We're here in the capital city of Indiana. And it's a wonderful event where students write policy, propose and debate that policy, and then work to get it passed in the exact same way our legislators do that. And a completely transformational experience. The students who participated, this was our first year engaging in this, came back glowing and so excited to do this again next year, and got to see themselves as leaders, communicators, innovators, collaborators. Innovative problem solver. This is we're very fortunate to have Coach Mundell and an incredible robotics team that has made it to the first World's Champions every year that we've participated, and so. This is a marketing picture, but what he's so good at is giving students just the right a bit of information to help them go on their way with a very complex robot here. And this is not just one student making this robot. This is a team of students who are collaborating together to do really well in competition. Our season kicks off this weekend. Very excited. And thoughtful communicators. So this is our mock trial team, which I mentioned before. They prepare a case and debate it and present it with witnesses and everything in an actual courtroom, practicing public speaking, practicing using evidence to make conclusions, practicing arguing with schools from other states. Transformational experience for these students who are participating. Curious and self-directed learner. On the left there is President Mitch Daniels, former president of Purdue University, also former governor of Indiana. And on the right is one of our students who took it upon himself to schedule an interview with President Daniels, who, very important, busy person, but was always willing to give and is always willing to give his time to PPHS students. And so he's recording there. That will be presented, later edited into a morning show that is played to school. Student choice, authentic audience, transformational learning. And I've mentioned a lot of competitions here. So like the mock trial, the youth and government, the robotics, but I think this is a great example of collaboration. This is part of a US history project and students were working to redesign their community in the form of art. And so behind them is the gallery that they collaborated to present their work. And we had members of the public come in to actually view their art and discuss and experience and really foster that community. And finally, transformational experience. 3 of our students visited Medellin last year. So grateful for this opportunity and all the hard work that the team in Medellin did. Absolutely transformative learning experience for those 3 students, where they used the design process to solve a problem for a particular commune there. And so that's it, my 3 lessons. Lesson 1 from teaching chemistry: children are and always have been scientists. They don't need a teacher to be that way. Lesson 2, student choice and authentic audience equals deep learning. If you can design an experience where students have choice in that experience and they're creating something not for a teacher, but for somebody else, that's going to lead them to learn the most. And then in transformational learning experiences, the teacher serves as coach. Finally, that bonus one, regardless of where, I see Zambia is watching, I know Senegal, regardless of where you are, trust children. They will learn and do amazing things. I really appreciate this opportunity to present. So cool to have an international audience. Really cool. Thanks for coming in. If one of those lessons spoke to you, I've included some resources here that I think helped codify my beliefs around that. And so, feel free to take a screenshot, or I've shared the slides out, and feel free to access and share any questions you have. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you very much, Drew. This was very enlightening. It's definitely very good always to talk about experiences because it tells much more than theory.
Totally. I was thinking, what a journey! It was, 37 years teaching and connecting with this world of education, inspiring others. In, I don't know, 20 minutes, you summarize 37 years and a lot of learnings to share with us this journey. Thank you very much, Drew. It was amazing. I enjoyed a lot. I saw some pictures, some places. Obviously, I saw Medellin there, but mostly I saw the journey of a teacher who loves not just to teach, but transform and create opportunities for others. I believe that is the kind of the call of educators around the world. What do you think about it?
Agreed. And I appreciate the opportunity to present and the opportunity to reflect on those different school learning experiences and how they have contributed to the way I educate today.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's good for us to be able to understand how these programs work, and I don't know, like recognize the possibilities of applying somehow the same strategies in our areas. Because we're talking about interculturality, and we have to talk about differences in terms of regions and in terms of countries around the world. But definitely, good ideas can be malleable, and they can be transformed into something that is applicable in our context. So that's definitely that works in terms of opening the scope of how to implement educational strategies in our days.
Totally. It was amazing. I believe that the design thinking framework that you share with us is super important. It's also something that everywhere you can use it, you can apply it, obviously with some elements or some understanding the context and our differences. But it's those like moments or topics, ideation, in empathy, creation, sharing, testing, that kind of things inside of the classroom, inside of the schools is a new way to understand education. Also, I really enjoy the way that you connect real people from industry, from even from government. I saw the president Daniels there. Incredible, because something that I really enjoy in educational process with this kind of projects is how students grow in, I don't know, in 3, 4, 6 months doing this, and grow in terms of how mature are they at the end of the process to talk with, I don't know, to CEO, to the president of a university, even with a government. So this is incredible because sometimes our students, in the traditional way we understand education, they didn't have the opportunity to expose themselves and show their skills, their communicational skills, and interact with the kind of stakeholders. As you mentioned, really, really important, but also really busy agendas people. So that's really interesting. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, definitely. Just as a complimentary comment, we have noticed in our not very long experiences, we hope to be much longer. But we have noticed that it doesn't matter the difficulties that regions, countries, specific areas have. If you have the talent, That's pretty much what you need. And that's what education becomes powerful, because you can grow that talent as a teacher, as an institution. You can help grow that talent in the people from the area, from there, the people that are born in the regions. And that way we can start, like plant the seed in terms of positive changes.
Absolutely, really appreciate that. I think these skills, communication, collaboration, innovation, are at their core really simple skills, but they take a lot of practice. And so the more educators can get together and practice, the more students can have exposure to practicing those skills, the better equipped they'll be when they go off to the workforce.
That's true. Just a final question, Drew, before you leave us. I just want you to be able to simplify this, because it looks like very big, but how to start? If a teacher wants to start in terms of giving their students like a new approach in terms of these, how can they start?
Love this question. I think one thing we do and would be easy to implement across the board would be to have students identify a problem at their current school and then work through the design process. So they're interviewing key stakeholders, leaders, other students, teachers. They're identifying the problem, defining, they're brainstorming solutions, they're selecting a few of those solutions, prototype, and then they're launching their idea and testing it with their users. I think regardless of the context, environment, et cetera, schools have problems. And if we can empower students to identify and solve those problems, then they're getting design thinking practice and the school's getting better.
Definitely. So empowering students, individualizing education, basing education on experiences and challenges and discussions and like the knowledge of and the development of these abilities is definitely a good way to go and a good way to start changing education or making changes to education that are going to positively impact the future of your students. Drew, thank you very much. We appreciate your being here with us. We appreciate your words, your knowledge, and it's definitely a pleasure for us to be able to bring this knowledge to people around the world.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and best wishes as you go forth and educate.
Thank you, my friend.
Great. So hopefully see you again in the future, talking about a new topic.
Will do.
All right. Have a great day, and thank you very much for joining us. Okay. So finally, I would just like to finalize this meeting with a little information about our TOMi Awards. So we just mentioned it. Some of the people in this community, actually 2 teachers from this community, are in the top 5 in the TOMi Award.
I know. Again, I'm really happy because I feel like, we are at this moment one of the most engaging community, interactive, active community of TOMi Global. I need to mention that, we have been working in several countries with several teachers there in Africa, but we have our biggest communities in Spanish, actually, is in Central America, Guatemala, Colombia even, because we are from Colombia. We're located here in Medellin, Colombia. But I was amazed when I saw 2 of the 5, the top list, one from Zambia, one from Ghana. I was like, oh my God, something is happening here. So congratulations, guys. I really enjoyed the opportunity to share these master classes with you, but also to see that we can collaborate, connect, and maybe we could have one of you here with us.
Yeah, well, I think it's very doable. I think I can see it in the future. Remember, we have until the 11th of April. If you are watching this and you want to participate in the TOMi Awards, you can follow the registration links, which I'm going to share with you via email very soon within the information about this workshop. You can connect to us. Basically, what you need to do is to create a lesson that includes elements from your field of expertise, the field that you teach, but also in which you include some information about your culture, about your country, about your costumes. Just let us know a little bit about your area and your geographical aspect, but also cultural aspects about where you live. We want to grow in terms of a global community, becoming a global community of teachers worried about education and that are focused on the technological tools. So without further ado, I just want to let you know that the first prize at this moment, and it's not final. Yes, all right.
Sorry, I need to go, but again, I'm really happy and thank you for having me here, my friend. I will be connected with you and hope the rest of the information will inspire you to maintain connected with us. Okay.
Thank you, Alejandro. All right. See you the next time. By the way, our workshop, let me just move this a little bit. Our next workshop will take place on the 11th of April. We are going to have another guest, a very special guest. Is actually a very, very good friend of mine that is going to continue talking to us a little bit about those technological skills that are important in our time, not only for us to be able to teach our students, but also for us to have and grow as teachers. So 11th of April, we're going to continue with that. And that 11th of April is also the closing date for the participation in our TOMi Awards. So you can still participate and you can also be the winners. So this is how the ranking is going. In the top 5, we have first, nature and its interactions through culture from Cristina Yesenia Aguilar from El Salvador. Second place is for Colombian culture through movement. All right. And that is from Colombia, teacher Noé Sepúlveda Lozada. And look at this. Third prize is for the lesson, The Culture of the Dagombas. And the author is teacher Abdul Fattah Ibrahim from Ghana. All right. So third prize at the moment, but don't worry, this can change. Fourth place is Exploring Zambian Culture by teacher Tom Junior Banda from Zambia. So as you can see, there are 2 of the teachers from this community, from this Anglo community, global community, participating in TOMi Awards. There's over 80 teachers participating from the global community, but 2 of those teachers are actually in the top 5. So please go ahead and continue presenting this lesson. Remember, you can ask other teachers, your colleagues, to help you with the presentation of the lessons in order to reach to more students and be able to continue growing the numbers and finally, hopefully, be able to be here with us in Medellin and also get a lifetime subscription to our teachers community, TOMi Digital, and have the TOMi 8, a device that is made for teachers and that is definitely going to be a game changer in terms of having technology in the classroom. You can take attendance with it, you can mark tests with it, but also, and most importantly, you can convert any projection into an interactive whiteboard, and you can also use it to share content, to share laboratories, simulations with students via Wi-Fi without an internet connection. So there's a lot of different important features about this TOMi 8, and you can have one of these. First prize will get one, plus coming to Medellin for the launch. Second prize will get one, plus a lifetime subscription to our teachers community, our teachers platform, TOMi Digital. And third prize will get a lifetime subscription to our teachers platform. So please continue demonstrating that this community is big, is growing. That makes me very happy. And hopefully one of you is going to be here in Colombia with us very soon. So Finally, I just want to thank you again for being here. If you're watching this live, or if you're watching it later, it's just the same. Please continue asking your questions. Join us on our Telegram community so you can get more information and direct contact with us for recommendations, for support on how to use the platform, for ideas, to have a conversation with other teachers that are also interested in education and technology for education. So just join us and be part of this movement. See you again in a couple of weeks. I'm going to offer a workshop on how to create lessons on our TOMi Digital platform for those who are interested in using it and participating in the TOMi Awards. And after that, on the 11th of April, we're going to have our third workshop of this series, Tech Skills for Education. Thank you very much for being here, and see you very soon. Bye-bye.